Hi everyone, Jess here, and today I'm joined with Steve Smith, CEO of Airlink. Thank you so much for joining me today, Steve.
Hi, Jess. Thanks for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure. So Airlink is Aviation Festival Asia's charity partner this year. So we're going to get into what that means and mainly what you guys as a charity do. So I understand it's your 15th anniversary, which marks 15 years of impact and partnerships across the NGO sector and the airline industry. What is next for Airlink, and what would you say are the future of your partnerships?
Well, thanks so much, Jess. I mean, first I'll say, thank you so much for the partnership. We're really honored and excited to start this partnership. But in terms of your question, since 2010, Airlink's founding, Airlink has really been a critical partner to NGOs that are in need of transportation aid and funding. We don't own any of our own aircraft. We leverage airline partnerships to make it all happen. And that means delivering cargo and responders from point A to B and C and all the way to Z. And, throughout the years, we've really learned that our expertise is not just in aviation connections, but really in the logistics and making things work. Customs clearance, navigating complex routings, border closures, and really at the base level, sort of vetting our NGO nonprofit partners and making sure the right aid is going to the right places at the right time. And we're now going into our next 15 years, and so as we go forward, our plan is really very simple, and that's deepening and expanding our relationships within aviation, and that's building more partnerships so our responses can become more sustainable. There are so many facets of the sector that we haven't yet, but we're so keen to engage with all the different levels and tiers of suppliers and what you will. And really our focus is to continue to support locally led responses, the communities affected. These are the true first responders. They're the ones that know what they need. And so it's through close collaboration, and we plan our responses so that we know how we can turn up and support those local communities in a positive way. And in the past 15 years, we've helped 97 countries. I wish it was 100. That would be grander. But 97 countries. And, while we have deep connections on each continent, we're really working to establish deeper connections to local communities on a regional basis to make sure that we have the right plans in place and that we can support them on an ongoing basis. That's the response side. We also focus on what we call health system strengthening, which, we can't forget that the impacts of COVID are still ever present. And many of our shipments now are focused on restocking and resourcing hospitals with time-sensitive aid, and that will continue. But I'll just close out by saying, partnerships are key. And but I want to really highlight, my team that really make all this happen. Our volunteer corps, which are our board, our ambassadors, which are volunteers as well, and our Governor's Council, who are all very passionate and passionately pursue our mission in leveraging the very innate capabilities of, let's face it, the coolest sector out there with jets to help people in need.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. That's a really useful, broad overview of the really important work that you guys are doing and your role sort of leveraging within a wider ecosystem that is both the NGO sector and the airline sector. So if we get into the nitty-gritty a bit more detail, could you talk through some of your recent rapid responses and any long-term anchor programs?
Yeah, sure, happy to. So one of the recent ones that I think is interesting is Vanuatu, which was very interesting case, very remote island, and we had communications that were severed. This is from the earthquake, of course. Infrastructure very heavily damaged. That was really inhibiting the import of materials. And so we worked with NGOs to recently deliver Starlink satellite devices to re-establish communications. And so this is one of the broad nature of things that we will send, whether it's medical supplies, but in this example, it was telecommunications equipment. And we were able to charter smaller planes with our connections within aviation, who had permissions to land on the tarmac for special deliveries. And that's where we were able to move in medical and rescue equipment. And so we also work very closely with partners to help provide access for responders, which is very complicated because, I think the definition of a disaster is that it's a disaster, it's a mess. And so, oftentimes helping that coordination element, which is very much where Airlink gets involved, is really important. And so it's as we build our responses, our connections on the ground really help us support our partners going in to help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sorry, Jess. The other one I wanted to just highlight is Los Angeles wildfires, which is quite an unusual case. There's often a desire to go in and help very quickly with wildfires. Obviously, that's a time for firefighters and the emergency personnel, but the NGO community, which we support, oftentimes go in and do the hard task. Fighting the fires is very hard as well, of helping rebuild and recover for individuals and families that have been affected. But typically it happens a little bit after the fires are under control, and it's safer to go back in. But this time around, we were able to work with a group called Project Camp, which is a collaboration with Save the Children. I actually fortunately got to go and visit one of their camps yesterday. It was really wonderful, where they set up this safe space for children from families that have been affected. And so, you often don't think about some of these things where we can talk about big numbers and impacts and houses being destroyed, but when families are affected at their core, their parents, they may or may not be able to go back to work. They now have to figure out how to apply for support. What do you do with the kids? The schools might have been destroyed, right? What do you do with the kids and make sure that they're not also traumatized? And so this is a really wonderful program that provides a very traditional sort of American camp setting that kids can go to and just have fun and play and be with each other. And so that was really wonderful, and we're able to do that. And that's just one example of the many programs that we support. Now, we will now continue on sending in filters, masks, for protective gear for individuals to be able to go back in and see their homes and try to clean up and start rebuilding. It's going to be a long battle, but and it could take a couple of years. And so we continue to support for a long time.
Thank you for sharing that insight. And it must be very rewarding to see the camps and how you can make tangible change in these people's lives. And then if we shift our focus to the Middle East now, how would you say a ceasefire in Gaza has changed logistics planning for your organization? What are your expectations and hopes here?
Yeah, and so obviously, our response has been going through since October 7th, the first day there, with the attacks on Israel, and now, but our hope is that ceasefire holds, and it turns into a permanent resolution and peace, and allows for greater relief to take place and be able to go in and be delivered. We've had our materials, held at the borders in Jordan and Egypt. Much of it has been getting in with our partners, but also much of it has been held up and has been taking a long time to get in. And so it's really great to see that now you've gone up to what was perhaps a few trucks a day, up to over 600 a day in recent days. And so so far we've sent about 427 tons of goods, and that's 1 million meals, dozens of hospital beds, surgical equipment, shelters, clean water containers. And we're really, again, relying on our NGO partners that we vetted to assess the needs and help get access and support their programs on the ground. And but we have to be very careful. It's still a very dangerous conflict scenario. So we're really careful about which partner. We're always very careful which partners we work with. We vet our partners, but in this case specifically, we really need to make sure that we're working with groups that are able to operate in Gaza, get access to things in Gaza, and really be effective. And we're seeking fundraisers, right? As we project this program is going to cost about $1.5 million. And we're committed to delivering on that. So far, we've delivered about $3 million in aid in the last 15 months. And we really want people to come together and support people in this region in this moment of peace.
Absolutely. And then if we think about the event that's coming up in Singapore, why did you decide to partner with Aviation Festival Asia?
Yeah, well, the first thing is that I'm very excited about the event. I'm looking forward to the event. I would say that the Asia Pacific region is really important to Airlink and to me. When I first started at Airlink 2013, one of my first major responses for Airlink was Typhoon Haiyan. And I remember working around the clock trying to help get tickets and belly capacity to send responders and supplies to the Philippines. And I'll tell you, I was truly inspired by really the dynamic and generous nature of the aviation sector in the region. And that's consistent with what I've seen over the past number of years as well. And so it's really important for us to expand our footprint into Asia Pacific and develop our airline partnerships. We already have a number of partnerships, but we want more. We work with airlines, Cebu Pacific, Philippine Airlines, Air Niugini, Fiji Airways, Malaysia Airline Group, AVA Air, and a number of Cathay Pacific, I think I mentioned, and a number of partners that we work with. But we always want more, and there's a whole massive aviation sector element there. But it's really important for us to develop relationships within the region, again, supporting the communities that are being affected because they are the ones that know what they need. And so, really generating awareness and seeking to meet new partners and strengthen our presence in the region is really important. And so that's why we're really valuing this partnership with the Aviation Festival in Asia.
Fantastic. And of course, many of the airlines that you just mentioned will be in attendance and speaking and well represented at the event. So they're just a few of the airlines that will be on site. So it'll be great to see you there. And thank you again for joining me and making the time today to speak with me.
Thanks so much, Jess. Great to see you.